You think walking is just a light form of exercise? Think again. Because every single step you take isn't just burning calories. It might be keeping you alive, longer, sharper, and happier. Even after 60, it sounds too simple, right? But the truth is this: walking can help prevent at least 7 serious health problems, from dementia to heart disease, from diabetes to depression. These are the silent threats that creep up on people after 60 unless you take action. I used to think staying healthy meant hitting the gym, lifting weights, or following some strict routine, until one day my doctor said something that changed everything. Just walk every day. That's all. So I tried. 1 lap around the park, 10 minutes, then 15, eventually 30. 1 year later, not only did my health improve, I felt like I had my life back. If you've noticed your memory slipping, if you're worried about your heart, your joints, or even your blood sugar, this video is for you. You're about to learn the 7 dangerous health issues walking can help prevent, why walking is the natural medicine your body's been waiting for, and the story of an 84-year-old man who transformed his life, 1 walk at a time. Growing older doesn't have to mean living in fear of illness. You have a choice. You can take control, 1 step at a time. If you're looking for a simple, no-equipment way to stay healthy, hit that like button and subscribe. We're here to walk this journey with you. Now, let's get started. There's 1 silent killer that walking can help you fight, just by adding 10 extra minutes to your day. Can you guess what it is? 1. Dementia and Alzheimer's. The mind's slow fade. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? It happens. But when it starts happening more often, when you lose track of appointments, forget familiar names, or repeat the same stories, it can feel terrifying. It's easy to think, well, I'm just getting older. But here's the truth. Forgetfulness isn't always just age. Sometimes it's the early signs of something deeper. Dementia, Alzheimer's. The good news? Walking, yes, just walking, can help fight back. Let me tell you about Ruth. She's 72, retired school teacher. She used to be sharp as a tack, could remember every student's name from the past 30 years. But a couple of years ago, she started noticing things, losing her keys, forgetting names, getting lost on her way home from the grocery store. Her doctor ran tests, mild cognitive decline, the early shadows of something scarier. That's when she made 1 change. She started walking every morning, just 20 minutes. 6 months later, her follow-up showed something incredible. Her memory scores improved, her focus sharpened. She was more alert, more present, like herself again. Why? Because walking increases blood flow to the brain. It stimulates growth in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. Studies have shown that adults who walk regularly have a lower risk of cognitive decline by up to 40%. 40%. That's not a maybe, that's a lifeline. And the best part? You don't need a prescription, you don't need fancy equipment. You just need to move your feet, and do it often. Now here's the real question. If your brain is your most valuable asset, why wouldn't you do everything to protect it? Because the next condition on this list, the one that takes the most lives in America, could be sneaking up silently. Let's talk about your heart. 2. Heart disease. The silent threat. You feel fine. You're not in pain. No chest tightness. No shortness of breath. So your heart must be okay, right? Not always. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America. And here's the most dangerous part. It often strikes without warning. By the time symptoms show up, the damage is already done. For many, the first sign of heart trouble is the heart attack itself. But what if you could change that story just by walking? Let's break it down. When you walk, you strengthen your heart muscle, you improve circulation, you lower your blood pressure and cholesterol, and most importantly, you keep your arteries clear. Just 15 minutes a day. That's all it takes to make a difference. In fact, research from the American Heart Association found that people over 60 who walk just 15 minutes daily have a 30% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who stay sedentary. 30%. That's not small. That's life-changing. And here's the best part. You don't need a treadmill. You don't need a gym membership. You don't even need perfect weather. All you need is a pair of shoes and the will to move. Let me share this. I once thought the only way to protect my heart was through complicated workouts and cutting out every food I loved. But then I realized a quiet morning walk around my block did more for me than any fad diet ever could. It cleared my head. It steadied my pulse. It gave me a rhythm, a reason to breathe deeper. Now I ask you, if your heart is still beating strong today, what are you doing to keep it that way tomorrow? Because the next health problem we're going to tackle isn't about what your heart feels, it's about what your bones can't afford to lose. Let's talk about osteoporosis. 3. Osteoporosis and bone fractures. When one fall changes everything, it starts with something simple. Reaching for a book, stepping off a curb, losing your balance just for a second. Then, crack, a fall, a fracture, and life is never quite the same again. This is the reality for millions of older Americans, because after 60, bones become more fragile. The density weakens, the structure thins out, and what used to be just a stumble becomes a hospital visit, or worse, the beginning of permanent immobility. But here's the surprising truth. Walking can help prevent that. Yes, walking. You'd think strong bones need heavy weights and gym machines, but actually the impact of walking stimulates bone growth, especially in your hips, legs, and spine. Let me tell you about Ted. He was 75 when he slipped at getting out of his recliner. Just a simple fall, but it broke his wrist. At the hospital, he got the news. Osteoporosis. He could have given up. He could have said, well, that's just part of aging, but instead he made a choice. Every morning, rain or shine, he walked around his block. Slow at first, then faster. 1 year later, his doctor was stunned. Ted's bone density had improved, and so had his balance, his confidence, his independence. Because walking doesn't just build bone, it strengthens the muscles around your joints, it sharpens your reflexes, it gives you control over your steps and your future. So let me ask you, have you ever thought about how many years of mobility you still have left and what one broken bone could take away? You don't have to accept frailty as your destiny. You can stand tall and stay strong, one step at a time. And speaking of steps, let's take a closer look at one of the fastest growing diseases in America. It doesn't start with pain, it starts with sugar. Let's talk about type 2 diabetes. 4. Type 2 diabetes, the sugar trap. It doesn't hit all at once, it creeps in slowly. First, you feel more tired than usual, then you start getting thirsty all the time. Your weight creeps up and your energy drops. You go for a checkup, and the doctor says it. Type 2 diabetes. Millions of Americans are hearing those words every year, especially after 60. And while medications can help, there's one powerful tool most people overlook: walking. Let me say that again. Just walking after a meal, 10 to 15 minutes, can do more for your blood sugar than sitting on the couch ever will. Why? Because walking helps your body use insulin more effectively. It burns off excess glucose in your bloodstream. It stabilizes your sugar levels before they spike too high. There was a study published in Diabetes Care that showed people who walked for just 15 minutes after eating had better blood sugar control than those who walked for 45 minutes once a day. Think about that. Short, simple walks, right after dinner, doing more than long workouts. And here's where it gets personal. My cousin Joe, 67, was pre-diabetic. His doctor warned him, change your habits or go on meds. So Joe made one change. He started walking after every meal, no excuses, 3 times a day, just around his backyard. 3 months later, his blood sugar numbers dropped back into the normal range. No medications needed, just a simple walk. So here's the question. If you could walk your way out of high blood sugar, why wouldn't you? You don't need to run. You don't need to sweat buckets. You just need to walk, especially after you eat. Now let's take that walk a little further, because the next enemy on this list is lurking in nearly half of all adults over 60. You can't feel it, but it's pushing from the inside. Let's talk about high blood pressure. 5. High blood pressure, the invisible pressure. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but it's there, building, in your arteries, in your heart, in your brain. And one day, it snaps. High blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't give you warning signs, not until it's too late. A stroke, a heart attack, kidney failure, all of it, from numbers you didn't even know were rising. But here's the hope, and it's powerful. Walking can bring those numbers down. No crash diets, no fancy equipment, just your legs, your breath, and 30 minutes a day. Here's why it works. When you walk regularly, your blood vessels expand, your circulation improves, your heart gets stronger, and doesn't have to pump as hard. One study from the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute showed that adults who walk 30 minutes a day had an average drop of 5 to 7 millimeters of mercury in systolic blood pressure. That might not sound like much, but it's enough to shift you from high risk to healthy range. And here's the real-world story. Gloria, 69, had high blood pressure for years, tried pills, tried cutting salt. Nothing made a difference until she committed to walking every afternoon. At first, she could only go 2 blocks. Now she walks a mile every day. And her last checkup? Blood pressure back in normal range. No medication. She says walking gave her control again, not just over her health, but over her life. So let me ask, when was the last time you measured your blood pressure? Do you really know what's happening inside your body? Because this isn't about numbers, it's about staying alive. Without fear, without pills, just steps. And now let's talk about something even deeper. Not just the body, but the mind. Because walking doesn't just strengthen your heart, it can heal your spirit. Let's talk about depression and anxiety. 6. Depression and anxiety. Healing more than just the body you wake up, but you don't feel awake. You sit in silence, wondering why everything feels heavy, even getting out of bed. That's not just a bad day. That's not just getting older. That might be depression or anxiety or both, and you're not alone. After 60, millions of Americans struggle with mental health. The loss of a job, the loss of a spouse, the fear of becoming invisible. But here's what most people don't know. Walking can be an antidepressant, a real one. It's free, it's safe, and it's incredibly effective. Here's why. When you walk, your body releases endorphins, your brain's natural feel-good chemicals. You reduce cortisol, the hormone that feeds anxiety, and you reestablish routine, rhythm, and control over your day. Let me introduce you to Margaret. She retired at 68. At first, it felt like freedom, but then the silence set in, the stillness, the loneliness. She stopped sleeping, stopped laughing. She started questioning her worth. Then one morning she stepped outside, just a short walk around the block. Then she did it again and again. Now Margaret walks every morning at sunrise, and she says it saved her. Not because her problems vanished, but because she came back. She reconnected with her breath, with her surroundings, with herself. Doctors now recommend walking as a first-line treatment for mild depression, and for good reason, because it works. Not instantly, but steadily, step by step. So I'll ask you, have you been feeling disconnected lately? Waking up in the dark, not outside, but inside? Then maybe it's time to lace up your shoes and see what happens when your body moves and your spirit follows. Because the final problem on our list today is one no one wants to talk about, but everyone feels. It's uncomfortable, it's embarrassing. but walking can help. Let's talk about digestive problems and constipation. 7. Digestive issues and constipation. When your gut slows down, so does life. It's not glamorous. It's not something people talk about at dinner. But let's be real. When your digestion is off, everything feels off. You feel bloated, heavy, sluggish, and worst of all, stuck. After 60, constipation becomes more common. Our metabolism slows. We move less. Medications, diet changes, all of it adds up. And the results? Discomfort, frustration, sometimes even pain. But here's what most doctors won't tell you first. One of the best ways to get things moving is to get yourself moving. That's right, walking. It's not just good for your heart or brain, it's a miracle for your gut. Here's why. When you walk, your abdominal muscles engage. Your intestines gently contract. You stimulate what doctors call peristalsis, the natural wave-like motion that pushes food through your system. It's like giving your digestive tract a little nudge, saying, "Hey, let's go." Let me give you a real story. Robert, 73, used to dread every morning. He'd sit at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, waiting, hoping something would kick in. He tried fiber, prunes, laxatives. Nothing helped consistently. Then one day his daughter told him, "Dad, just go for a walk after breakfast. 10 minutes. He rolled his eyes, but he tried it. And you know what? It worked. After a week, he was regular again. After a month, he stopped relying on pills. And he says those quiet walks with the birds and morning air, they've become his favorite part of the day. So let me ask you, if a sluggish gut is holding you back, what would happen if you simply step forward? Walking isn't just about burning calories. It's about unlocking movement in your body, your mind, and yes, even your bowels. And now that we've reached the end of this list, there's one final question left. If walking can help prevent all 7 of these problems, what's really stopping you? Closing. So now you know the truth. A simple daily walk, something that costs nothing, requires no equipment, and takes just a bit of your time, can help protect you from 7 of the most dangerous health issues facing people over 60. Let's go over them again. It sharpens your mind and lowers your risk of dementia. It strengthens your heart and cuts down your chances of heart disease. It builds your bones and helps prevent dangerous falls. It stabilizes your blood sugar and fights off type 2 diabetes. It lowers your blood pressure, no pills required. It lifts your mood and helps ease depression and anxiety. And yes, it even gets your digestion moving and keeps you regular. That's not a theory. That's real science, backed by research, proven by experience, and lived by real people. People just like you. So what does this mean for you? It means that every step you take, every time you choose the sidewalk instead of the sofa, every lap around the park, every walk around the block, it all adds up. You're not just stretching your legs, you're extending your life. You're choosing independence. You're choosing strength. You're choosing hope. And the best part? You don't need to go far. You don't need to go fast. You just need to start from right outside your front door. So here's my challenge to you. What time of day feels best for your walk? Early morning, peaceful evening, or right after dinner? Leave a comment and share it. Tell us your plan, your routine, your favorite spot, because this isn't just about information, it's about action. And if this video inspired you, even just a little, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it, subscribe. Let someone else discover what a simple walk can do for them. We're building a community of strong, hopeful, active seniors, one step at a time, and we're glad you're walking with us.